This conference, as some of you know, was started some years ago by the name Oracle Closed World, and then it has mutated into Oak Table World. But also, the gang, the members of the Oak Table have mutated a bit. I would assume that a third of them now are working in the other world, in the big data world now. They're still members of the Oak Table, and we still accept them, although they smell pretty bad. It's an interesting development. Eventually, there will probably be more people in the new world than in the old world. In the meantime, Oracle keeps evolving. They keep getting smarter. I'm sure all of you remember Larry's rant against the cloud a few years ago. It is available on YouTube as an audio. The video has been removed. And he really let the audience know what he thinks about the cloud. It's the worst nonsense he's ever heard. Doesn't make any sense. But, he says, eventually we will sell some of it to our customers. We might even make an ad campaign, he says. And that turns out to be true. So here we are, the cloud. As you probably noticed, EMC and Dell became the two first very big companies hit by this whole cloud thing. So they had to merge the other day. It is, I think, a result of this whole cloud thing. And behind that cloud thing is a lot of cheap computers, a lot of cheap memory. Can't beat that. Microsoft, IBM, everybody has seen it. Oracle has seen it now. Amazon saw it a while ago. And I do believe that Amazon's AWS business now has a bigger turnover than EMC and VMware combined. They're big. And they have been rolling out services like there's no tomorrow. For instance, last year, Thomas and I were in Stockholm for the AWS day, and they rolled out, 20 new services, including a machine learning service. Just plug it in, use machine learning on your data. It's not quite as simple. It's pretty much what they did. So eventually, everybody will have to do that. And so Oracle's old style thing will have to change dramatically. That will be a challenge. People is a challenge. There were rumors last year that Oracle had opened an office next to Amazon and offered them twice the pay if they wanted to switch over. But let's see. Oracle is formidable, and they have survived big changes before. Behind a lot of this whole winning thing is probably what Larry learned back in 90 or 91 when he visited Japan in order to secure a loan so that he wouldn't be taken over. As you know, Oracle Japan is an independent region. Because of that, that was the deal back then. We will give you security for $100 or $200 million so that you can avoid the hostile takeover. The price is that we will forever be independent region. what he learned there, he says in one of the books, is that competitors are people that steal rice out of the mouths of your children. That's his attitude. Just so you know. Partners, same thing. That's the attitude. Pretty aggressive, seems to work. Speaking about aggressive, a few words on Oracle licenses. Some years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I discovered that if an Oracle salesman sent something to a customer which came from legal, something from legal sent on to the customer, he could get fired. Only legal could send out these things. So back then I concluded and advised customers based on this, turns out wrongly since then, that if they ever got into trouble with the license auditing thing, all they needed to do was to ask Oracle to submit in writing or email that whatever they said to the customer was legally binding. It's kind of an okay thing to ask from a vendor. Can you please confirm that what you are stating is actually legally binding? But Oracle never does that. There are cases where license deals have been signed and everybody has been happy, and 3 months later Oracle Legal comes back and says, sorry, we've changed our mind. You have to pay more. So my conclusion was back then, wrongly, that salespeople were not allowed to send something out which was legally binding, and legal wouldn't. And hence, if a customer asked them to please specify in the email or letter that this was indeed legally binding, Oracle would basically tie itself up in a knot. What they've done the few times that we've advised customers to use it is that they've gone one level up and asked, dear CEO, do you really have the CIO that you deserve? And if the CEO said, yeah, I like him, then everything stopped. That was it. So I thought wrongly it was because sales were not allowed and legal wouldn't send out something legally binding. I was wrong. Turns out the explanation is not simpler. It wasn't legally binding. A lot of you have been contributing all by yourself to Oracle's pile of money. But it hasn't been something you needed to pay. There are about 7 documents that you can run into. There's the OLSA, which is now called TOMA. There is the support agreement. Remember those 2. And then there are 5 others. The virtualization, the hosting, the software investment guide, whatever. Those 5 are, in legal terms, non-contractual. If you look at them, it does say so at the bottom of each page. It does say, this document must never be used for anything. We advise you to read it often. That's pretty much what it says. Going back to the TUMA, ALSA, whatever, there is one part of it, about 10 lines. In the ulcer, it's point L as Lima. 10 lines. Most of you should be able to keep the concentration up for 10 lines. Called entire agreement. And you know what? That's true. What's in there is legally binding. That's what you sign. In the entire agreement, it says you must pay Oracle for installations on those machines where you install it and run it. That's it. There is no mention of virtualization. So all of you running VMware and having paid for all those other virtual servers, I think Oracle will thank you deeply for that voluntary contribution. However, it's not in the contract, just so you know. So I was wrong. Not for the first time. How many of you are DBA types? All right. How many of you are not DBA types? 2.5. All right. I think we are fucked, as usual. I think, we are getting older, as I've said before. It's the same old people every year. But there may be a way out because of this new big data thing, which will create a new round of chaos. But you must change your title fast into platform scientist. All right? I don't think you'll make it into data scientist. That requires real knowledge. But you should be able to become platform scientists. These are people that will, the problem is they should be able to both come up with suggestions for what any of those 200,000 new products should be installed and in what version, but they should also be able to troubleshoot and actually do work. And I think it will be harder to blame it on the network guys than it has been in the last 30 years. And the developers too. Well, actually it turns out the developers will now make the same mistakes in the new world, but now bigger, which is cool too. So promise me that you will, make the change on LinkedIn today. You can make a global search and replace. DBA platform science. That would be my career advice for you. With that, welcome to the conference. Have fun. Enjoy yourself.
Okay, so those of you who arrived after the announcement, there is going to be a raffle of 5 IOUG A-Press ebooks. And in order to do that, Mogens and I need your cards if you want to be in the raffle. I have some here that have been passed down, but I only have 5 cards, so if I don't get more, it's going to be a dense raffle. So just pass them on down.
Well, they have to change their title first.
No, you don't need this card anymore because you're going to be no longer a DBA, so you'll need new cards. So don't be afraid to give it to us. And I'll be taking these over the IOEG booth on the mezzanine layer okay. Yeah, a piece of paper works, anything with an email address on it. These are only being used for the purpose of emailing the winners with the access code thingy. And the books that are available are only the A-Press IOUG joint label, which fortunately includes Chris Antonini's book. So any more? All right, so How are we gonna do this, Moses?
Well, you put all of them into your pocket and then I'll search your pocket. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I've been to this rodeo before. All right, so how about I say,
Should I hold
this bag? I will take this bag, which is, all right. So, nothing up my sleeve. Here's a bag. That compartment is empty. Okay.
Nothing here, nothing there.
No, exactly. We didn't see it's 200 on its own part.
Okay. So, Mogens, pick them out one at a time and read them, and then we'll know who it was.
Harold,
Yeah.
there you go.
I'm gonna put that, the winners are going in my left pocket, so
Also,
I
it's
don't
not
lose
going
them.
back into the, no.
And no, you don't get to check the names that are in my pocket.
Okay, somebody at gmail.com. JC Dancy?
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
All right, let's make sure I can read the letters.
They're not Greek letters.
JCDAUCHY.
UCH1. Yeah.
Oh,
It worked.
okay.
Okay.
Gmail.com.
If you don't get an access code from IUG, then I just typed it later and just email me and complain. Go ahead. That's 2. We have 5 to do it.
Adam Polinsky?
Once again, if you don't get something from IUG with an access code, send me an email.
Yeah, and that goes for all of you.
Complain to me all you want.
Mohammed Hussein?
Oh,
Okay. Is that 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that too much for you?
No.
We passed 3 already.
Let's see, MHOSSEN? Okay. Well, I can read the rest of that. Okay. And
These are platforms.
the last one?
Important notice, any attendee, payment outstanding upon, that's a long name,
Is there an email on it somewhere?
Dina.
Oh, yeah.
Will you marry me? Okay.
You're not even gonna get down on one knee?
Later.
Oh.
I can't get off the agenda.
All right. If anybody wants their cards back, I'll give them back to you. Otherwise, I'm just gonna close my bag up. I'm not gonna use them for anything.
Sure. Okay.
All right? Well, thank you, Morris. So is it time to start? Well, let's.
I mean, they can hardly work already, give them a break.
Yeah, it is 10 minutes early, and who knows if somebody else might arrive. So there's more coffee, there's more food out there. And so I will be starting in 8 minutes. Unless Kyle tells me to go ahead.